25. We also kind of talked about how yesterday AV Liger surprisingly was still in top 3 despite an abysmal run. The last round was kind of their saving grace with 18 points, but perhaps today will be different. We're jumping into Bermuda finally for round 1 between A and B.
And the flight path starts all the way at 11 o'clock and ending somewhere in 4 o'clock from the west to the east. And does seem like players cutting through will be able to get themselves pretty nice and close to a lot of places actually, since it just pretty much cuts in the middle. So we can expect that most of these team players and members, they have quite a lot of place to work with. We wouldn't be expecting too many people that bumps up onto one another, but one of the teams or two of the teams that will bump up on one another is going to be Wheels and GigFam, and it's not gonna look good for GigFam at all, because, or maybe both sides, because both of them actually does have the Vector Akimbo, with the first blood going over to the hands of Wheels.
This classic fashion, classic round of Free Fire where there's always this unfortunate casualty at the start of the round. But of course, if you are on the receiving end, in this case GigFam, you're not gonna be happy about that. But guess what? There's another squad from behind, and I believe that is AV Ligers. They dropped in the middle of the highway just now, and they're also gonna try and take over Factory and Wheels. Now they are kind of pincered by both GigFam and AV Ligers, and I think Zach kind of sees the opportunity. He's going to start firing at Wheels, and Mandy's already down, but Wheels, they have to kind of try and fight their way out. They don't have much to work with, but this is kind of the last hoorah. Unfortunately, they don't have, they can't really do too much, but NBA Lore manages to make himself out towards the perimeter of the factory, so he will be able to have a better view on the situation, or at least he does see exact. But still, they have to deal with two different squads, pinceling them in this area.
Once again, NBA Lore is always putting himself right up in front of the enemy faces and even in front of the audience's faces. But one of the most important things is that with three teams hold up within a factory, it is going to make quite a bloodbath, and I'm not exactly sure what I can say. And in fact, P-Panda being gunned down by Abnoy from Wheels is just gonna be yet another point that is gonna be credited over to the side of Wheels. They're just taking kills here and there, left, right, and center. But the unfortunate thing is NBA Lore, he's knocked down. Someone needs to help him, and we all know for a matter of fact that NBA Lore is one of the top contenders here in MCP.
Yeah, I'm surprised that AV Ligers didn't go for the push, or we didn't witness a three-way fight. GigFam, they left the area. AV Ligers, they lost P-Panda, so they also kind of backed off. Wheels able to hold factory by the end of this was a massive win for them, because this was, this could have been a very highly contested area, but the fact that they held their ground, they got 2 points and they lost no one, was more than they could have asked for. But it seems like they kind of decided that it's not safe anymore. They are going to move away from factory as we turn our attention towards another potential skirmish between Steady Squad and STP Son of Gun, and this one feels pretty inevitable as STP Son of Gun, they're gonna get the first drop onto Lemon. Steady Squad, they are kind of in danger. Lemon just ducking and diving around the building, drops that glue wall to give himself a bit of cover, and is able to get onto the second floor. So Nams MKS tries to go upstairs but walks into the crosshair of Lemon, and this is how you do it. You secure that point for yourself, and Steady Squad kind of get themselves a bit of a lead, but they also down 2 more from STP Son of Gun. Mirrors is certainly the last one alive, and he is not going to make it out. STP Son of Guns will be the first one to be knocked out, and Steady Squad, they nail 4 points for themselves.
Bad decision making coming in from the side of STP Son of Gun, not something that I will particularly like when it comes to being too desperate and dashing up the stairs just so that you'll be able to bring the enemies down in a 1v1 encounter. I mean, granted, if you do have another person that's very close to you to make it into a 2 versus 1, sure, by all means, you can dash right up and try to deal with the adversary. But unfortunately, that was a 1v1. SCP Son of Gun just didn't really mind anything at all and threw caution into the wind and just dashed right up. And that was bad. And that is also one of the main contributing factor that has ended the the entire team of STB Son of the Gun. They probably would need to regroup themselves once again and try to take a look at what they need to do, as well as understand what are the risk factors that will contribute to their loss. You know, kind of like a cost-benefit analysis for them.
Yep. So, is this? Yeah, I kind of agree. It's a bad decision from STP Salaga, and I think the idea was to challenge Steady Squad, but sometimes it really boils down to the execution. And STP Salaga, it feels like a deja vu from yesterday, where Freedom Rumble tried to take on Legends Rumble, and they had this same maneuver, right? They want to challenge the opposition team, but instead of moving as a unit, they started funneling in. And of course, when you are kind of attacking these kind of buildings, you need to make sure that you are coordinated. A Steady Squad, they have all those traps planned. They just sprung their contraptions, and they were able to just catch STP Son of Guns off guard. So this early exit is definitely gonna hurt STP Son of Guns, especially when their standings is already third from the bottom. So the fact that they are not going to get any single points from this round is going to make it even worse.
With the new circle currently being revealed to everyone here in the map, it does seem like the circle is very good. Like, it is very good because it is right smack in the center of the map, right? Great allowances, and no one should be too worried about where the circle is right now. They can still bump up from place to place and try to get themselves more loot, and even try to get themselves crates, like loot drops. So it shouldn't be that big of an issue. But you know what is an issue? Auto knockout. Not knowing the fact that Watch and Learn is just right around the vicinity, and yet they are running around aimlessly, only for them to receive some damage from flanks. But fortunately, none of them has been knocked out just yet. Most of those shots coming in are going to be from Demon onto Yamin. The first one knocked down. They do have some casualty on the side of Demon. A little bit of here and there, left, right, and center. Glue walls being dropped. But unfortunately, Auto Knockout does have a little bit of an upper hand due to their leverage when it comes to being on the second floor. And of course, Auto Knockout also do have the territorial advantage, as they have like the entire place for themselves. They know where they have traveled, and they know where Watch and Learn came from, and they can avoid Watch and Learn while trying to relocate themselves from places to places. But unfortunately, it does seem like Watch and Learn does have superior rotations. But speaking of superior, Frag Grenade is pretty superior on the side of Auto Knockout as well. 2 of the grenades landed right under the feet of the members coming from Watch and Learn. And Auto Knockout, although they have suffered casualties on the side of Yamin, as well as I can't see the other member's name. But the main thing is 2 members down from Auto Knockout, but they managed to get themselves 4 kills. It was a 2-for-4 trade, which I think that is rather debatable, and it's still good enough than getting your entire squad wiped.
Yeah, and speaking about getting wiped, it seems like Secret Movement found their prey as Awesome. They wanted to go for the drop box right in the center of the freeway. They ran straight into the crosshair of Secret Movement, so kind of Secret Movement was able to catch them off guard. Didn't secure any kills just yet, and I think Secret Movement are actually backing off to kind of reposition themselves, because they having information that Awesome is right in front of them. They need to play this in a more cautious manner. But I was actually nervous. I thought Auto Knockout might actually get wiped, but thankfully that's not the case. Miru, definitely the MVP of that particular skirmish. His grenades alone wiped out the entire Watch and Learn. As you can see, Yat is putting himself in a very important position for Secret Movement. He alone will be able to gatekeep Awesome, especially when the circle right now does favor Awesome a bit more, so the tables have slightly turned. Awesome now gets to gatekeep Secret Movement, but if Awesome is not careful, Secret Movement can still eventually catch them off guard with how Yat positioned himself.
We do have the danger zone right on top of their heads as well, although I would say that it wouldn't be that big of a deal, especially since the danger zone is now over. On the other hand, we're going to be taking a look at the northern side of the new circle, which is circle number 2. and that is going to be centered right on top, or rather in between of Bima City Strip, Peak, as well as Clock Tower, with auto knockout right smack in the center. For Bima City Strip, we are looking at Secret Movement as well as Awesome coming in pretty darn close to one another. Down south, we're looking at Wheels that is still kind of making their way into the circle relatively far. And as for Supreme Assault Forces, they're pretty far as well, making their way clockwise towards the hangar and very likely towards Clock Tower in the end later. In the eastern side with SS City Squad, there is kind of outside of the zone, but they can make their way into Peak relatively easy without Divinity Esports shutting them outside due to gatekeeping capabilities. And for Bloody Heads as well as Geek Fam, they are very likely gonna meet up with each other real soon, so we gotta keep our eyes on that.
I really like what these teams are doing. I think we talked about how the meta kind of evolves and teams get more creative, or they get more strategic and tactical about their gameplay. And more teams are actually going for these late rotation around the perimeter of the circle, which I do like, because it does open up a lot more opportunities and rooms for them to plan their next route. And instead of just rushing into the circle and risk getting caught out by gatekeepers or just running into multiple teams and dying, this gives them more chances of survivability and to allow them to survive towards the latest stages of the circle. But Awesome, they are now starting to kind of feel the pinch from the side of Secret Movement, because Secret Movement knows that they have to rush in, but guess what? Steady Squad, they are showing up from behind, so Secret Movement have their work cut out. They have to deal with Steady Squad first, and Sua is going to start things off by taking out Fan, and yet now at the prime position on this high ground, he's going to be able to get a couple of shots in, but that also means that their back is exposed to Awesome, and Awesome will take advantage of that. Secret Movement are in a horrible spot, and they're just going to do their best and try and fend off the attackers from behind in the form of Steady Squad. And Fikri, he has a lot to do. He just down one, but Secret Movement with those blue walls will be able to provide a bit of cover for the rest of the team. And with 3 members strong, Secret Movement needs to kind of hold out against Steady Squad. Extra just rushes right in, but does get down. There is backup for Secret Movement. Fikri goes down though, and with the help of Awesome, Steady Squad, they take out Secret Movement.
Unfortunately for the side of Secret Movement, they just don't have enough manpower to overcome their opponents. And especially if the opponent come in with a Vector Akimbo and then a Tommy gun afterwards, that really isn't much that you can do. The first person comes in and melt you down, and the second one provides a cover fire that gives a lot of ammo, like constant cover fire. That is the beauty of a Tommy gun as well. It's great for it's great to cover your friend, and it's great to ensure that pressure is always put up on top of your enemies. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, if you are playing as a support, you should really pick up one of those bad boy Tommy gun for yourself. But speaking of bad boys, it does seem like we do have a lot of bad boys that's inside of Bima City Strip themselves. Auto knockout is at the southern side of the Bima City Strip. We do have Awesome that is just holding themselves up in the northern side, and so is Supreme Assault Forces. A little bit off of the Bima City Strip itself, but they are just right around the silo. Divinity Esports holding up right in the eastern side. I believe that their current location is a pretty nutty choke point when it comes to Bloody Heads as well as Geek Fam. We can expect that a lot of these players will probably want to head around the area of Divinity Esports due to the terraform of the place and due to how the terrain is like. Divinity Esports does have a pretty good place for themselves, but you never know what kind of information that these players have.
And meanwhile, Geek Fam, they run into AV Ligers. They actually dodged Divinity. They backtracked before running into the circle, so they were able to avoid Divinity Esports. But away from the mouth of the crocodile into the jaws of a tiger is kind of the saying for this particular situation, because Geek Fam have to deal with AV Ligers, and the safe zone is just closing in, and AV Ligers will be forced into the building to face off against Geek Fam. This is going to be perfect for Geek Fam to kind of ambush AV Ligers, and they're able to down 2 of them. It seems like AV Ligers might find it pretty hard to make it out. But at the end of the day, we do see Bloody Head getting knocked out, and AV Ligers will eventually be eliminated as well. Geek Fam, they got to this crucial checkpoint right before AV Ligers did, and it paid off massively. They wiped out one team. They will survive for a bit longer and open up the rest of the map to kind of move into the safe zone.
It does seem like things are starting to be a little bit different from what I expected, with Geek Fam coming in and pincering everyone else out, or rather clearing and sweeping everyone else out. AV Ligers unfortunately wasn't able to do quite much for themselves, but Geek Fam, they are the one that is the ultimate victor in the southern side of the shrinking zone, but with only 2 kills to their heads. So they still have quite a lot to catch up on when in terms of points. And even if they were to get knocked out right now, that means that they are the 7th team, and that is only in the mid ground. With only 2 kills for themselves, that is not good at all. So they need to start picking up a lot more kills. If not, heading themselves to first place off or not. But in the meantime, it does seem like the aggression is definitely going to happen from the side of Geek Fam. They are opening fire at the opponents quite a bit, and they are doing and they're making quite a lot of noise across the horizons as they aim themselves right onto Divinity Esports. Appease also does have information, small little information on the opponents from Auto Knockout. Well, they are just right opposite of the wall, or rather opposite building, with a frag grenade being thrown into the windows, but unfortunately none of it has managed to touch the enemies, or rather even explode on the enemies. Miru being knocked down for a shy little bit for now as they all rush in. Shura, the last man remaining, coming from side of Auto Knockout. How exactly is Geek Fam going to make full use of this current scenario? It doesn't seem like they know where Shura is, but with the glue wall separating the 2 rooms, it's pretty apparent what they gotta do, with Appease rushing right in and finishing off on a knockout.
Yep, they definitely found Shura, and I like Geek Fam what they're doing. They're so methodical. They're surgically taking over the territory one by one. First, they take out AV Ligers, then they saw Auto Knockout. They were like, Auto Knockout is the closest team to us. Let us take them out and secure the area before we move on forward. So this is kind of a step-by-step strategy that requires a lot of coordination and understanding of the game, and Geek Fam now still managing to survive up to this phase. They're now top 4. It seems that they're gonna make it in top 3. Divinity Esports dies in the meantime, and SAF also might not be alive for long. And Shoyu goes in for the cleanup. Suddenly, Geek Fam, they're top 2. They have 8 kills in the bag, and it's gonna be between Geek Fam and Awesome. It's also a fair fight, 2 versus 2. Geek Fam are in the open, but they do have a bit of that bird's eye view. Zack is out in the open, and I think this glue wall is going to be pretty important, so Awesome has to really plan how they're going to do this. Zack is going to kind of come in from the side, and they have backup though. They have another member watching from the high ground, so maybe Awesome might be baited out. Coco goes in, and D-Max gets taken out from the backside, and Geek Fam just comes in for the pincer. Zack, can he do this? And he's still like, yes, he can, Geek Fam! Oh my god! Another booyah in the bag. They maintain their lead.
A great start for the